The galaxy had seen many wars, but nothing like this. The arrival of humanity shook the very foundation of power. On every planet, in every spaceport, whispers spread like fire. They are real. They came back. Humans walk among the stars again. The Council of Eternal Stars could not allow this. Their rule depended on control, and control depended on illusion. For millennia, they had told the galaxy that humanity was gone forever, a dangerous race that destroyed itself. Now the myth had returned in flesh and steel, and the Council's words rang hollow. Still, the Council was not weak. They gathered their fleets, summoning admirals and commanders from 1,000 worlds. Inside the Hall of the Eternal Stars, high above a glowing nebula, the leaders gathered. The chamber was vast, its walls lined with golden panels that shimmered in the light of distant suns. Holographic maps floated above the central table, showing the human fleet as red marks on the edge of known space. They have already spread their message to half the galaxy, hissed Eldari Chancellor Syra, her serpent-like body coiling in anger. If this continues, our order will collapse. They must be confronted, said Chancellor Volus, his crystalline form glowing. They must be reminded that this galaxy has moved on without them. And if they will not listen, asked another. Then we will destroy them, Volus replied coldly. The council voted quickly. It was decided. A fleet would be sent to face the humans. Far away on the flagship Sol's Wrath, humanity prepared. Admiral Ryan Kor stood tall at the command deck, his eyes fixed on the endless stars. Around him, officers moved with discipline, checking systems, calculating paths, and preparing weapons. Commander Alara approached him. The council has moved. Their fleet is already on the way. Ryan nodded. We expected nothing less. They will not talk, Alara continued. They will try to crush us, to make an example. Ryan's gaze hardened. Then we will show them what happens when lies meet truth. The confrontation came at the edge of the Dreelith system, a barren sector with little but dust and empty planets. Perfect for war. The Council's fleet arrived first. Thousands of ships, sleek and armed, their banners glowing with the mark of the eternal stars. Their commanders broadcast a message across the void. Their voices carried in dozens of alien tongues. Humans, you stand accused of breaking the peace of the galaxy. You will surrender your weapons, disband your fleets, and submit to the Council's rule. If you resist, you will be destroyed. The humans listened in silence. Then Admiral Ryan's reply came, calm and steady. We do not kneel. We do not surrender. You claim to guard the galaxy, but you rule it with fear. That time ends today. The battle began. The Council ships advanced in perfect lines, their energy cannons glowing. They fired first. Beams of light crossed the void, striking the human fleet. But to the Council's shock, the weapons bent away, scattering like water on stone. The humans' hulls shimmered, bending physics itself. Then the human fleet answered. Their weapons did not fire beams or missiles. Instead, spheres of controlled energy launched from their ships, moving with impossible speed. When they struck the Council's vessels, shields collapsed instantly, armor shattered, and entire ships broke apart in silence. Within minutes, hundreds of Council ships were gone. The Council commanders panicked. They had never seen weapons like this. They had never faced an enemy who ignored their defenses. For the first time in thousands of years, the Council's fleets knew fear. On the bridge of Sol's Wrath, Alara watched the battle unfold. They are falling apart. Their formations are broken. Brienne's voice remained steady. Hold our line. Do not chase. Let them see. Let them understand. And indeed, the humans did not wipe out the entire fleet. They could have. Instead, they destroyed enough to prove their power and then stopped, leaving the survivors to retreat. Across the galaxy, the news spread. The invincible fleets of the Council, the Guardians who claimed to be eternal, had been shattered in a single battle. The illusion of their supremacy was gone. On a distant colony world, a miner named Cairo watched the recordings. He saw Council ships explode, saw human vessels moving like shadows of gods. For years, his people had lived under heavy taxes and harsh rule. He turned to his friends and whispered, if the humans can stand against them, maybe we can too. On another planet, a young alien scholar studied the human broadcast, her eyes wide with wonder. They are not destroyers, she said. They fight the rulers, not the people. The Council lied to us. The spark of rebellion grew stronger with every passing day. Back in the Council chambers, chaos erupted. The chancellors shouted at each other, their unity cracking. They were supposed to be myths, Syra hissed. How can we fight them? We must control the story, Volus demanded. We must remind the galaxy that humans are dangerous. But others were not so sure. The younger members of the council hesitated, their voices uncertain. If humans are truly builders, as the old myths say, perhaps we should not fight them at all. The oldest chancellor glared, his 6 eyes burning. You are fools. If humanity rises, we fall. There can be no peace. Meanwhile, in hidden chambers, ordinary citizens began to gather in secret. Across colonies, rebels met in caves, on forgotten stations, or deep in the forests of quiet worlds. They spoke of freedom, of hope, and of the humans who returned with the promise of truth. And though humanity did not claim new planets or build new thrones, their presence alone began to shake the galaxy's chains. On Sol's Wrath, Admiral Ryan stood with Alara. Watching the stars, they will come again, Alara said. Yes, Ryan replied, and they will be stronger next time. But so will we. Why not end it now? She asked. We could have destroyed them completely. Ryan's eyes narrowed. Because this is not just about war. This is about showing the galaxy the truth. If we destroy them too quickly, the people will not believe. They must see the council fall with their own eyes. Only then will freedom last. Alara was silent for a moment, then nodded. She understood the galaxy was changing. The illusion that the council had built for 50,000 years was shattered. No longer could they claim to be eternal. No longer could they say humans were gone. The people had seen the truth with their own eyes, and in the silence after battle, in the quiet between stars, one thought echoed across millions of minds. The age of the council is ending. The age of humanity has begun. The battle of the Dreelith system changed everything. For thousands of years, the Council of Eternal Stars had ruled without question. They claimed to be guardians, protectors of peace, and the rightful rulers of the galaxy. No fleet had ever stood against them. No voice had ever dared to challenge them. But now, one battle had torn down that illusion. Humanity had returned, and their fleet had shattered the Council's pride. The news spread faster than any ship could travel. Every corner of the galaxy, from wealthy capital worlds to the smallest mining colonies, spoke the same words. The Council can bleed. The Council can fall. On the cold mining moon of Relora, workers gathered in secret tunnels. For years, they had labored under heavy taxes. Their families left in poverty while the Council demanded endless shipments of ore. Guards patrolled daily, reminding them that rebellion was hopeless. But now, hope burned again. A miner named Caro stood before the crowd, his voice trembling but strong. You all saw it. The recordings are real. Humans stood against the Council and broke them. They did not come to enslave us. They came to fight the rulers who keep us down. If they can do it, why not us? The crowd cheered softly at first, then louder. For the first time, they believed freedom was possible. In the grand academies of Lurien, young scholars gathered to debate. Among them was Lyra, a bright alien student with skin like silver. She had always questioned the Council's history books, sensing gaps and hidden truths. When the human broadcasts reached her world, she listened carefully. They speak of freedom, not conquest, she told her classmates. They do not claim the galaxy as theirs. They offer a choice. One of her friends frowned. But the Council says they are dangerous, Lyra smiled. The Council also said they were gone forever. And yet here they are. Maybe the Council fears them because they fear the truth. Her words spread among the students. Quietly, they began to form secret circles, learning old myths about humanity and dreaming of change. Meanwhile, in hidden bases across forgotten planets, true rebellion took shape. Groups that had once fought alone now felt united. They began to send messages into the void searching for humanity, and humanity answered. The fleet of Sol's Wrath became more than a weapon. It became a symbol. Human ships traveled to hidden colonies, striking down Council garrisons and freeing entire worlds. They gave rebels weapons unlike any they had seen, tools that could pierce Council armor and jam their communication. But more than weapons, they gave something else, hope. Admiral Ryan Core stood before freed miners on one such world. His voice echoed through the ruined streets as crowds gathered around. We are not here to rule you, he declared. We are not here to take your lands or your skies. We are here to remind you that freedom is yours. The Council lied. They are not eternal. They can be defeated. But the fight is not only ours, it must also be yours. Rise and claim what was always yours. The people cheered, their voices lifting into the night sky. For the first time in centuries, they felt free. But even as hope spread, debates raged within humanity's own fleet. In the strategy chamber of Sol's Wrath, commanders gathered around glowing maps. Systems lit up red with rebellion, others blue with council control, and some yellow with uncertainty. Commander Alara leaned forward, her tone sharp. Every day more species call to us for help. We cannot free them all at once. If we spread too thin, the council will strike back. Another officer, Captain Darren, argued, we should take command of these worlds. Build a new order under humanity. Only then will the galaxy be stable. Admiral Ryan listened in silence. Then he spoke. No, if we rule, we become the council. We will free them, but they must choose their own path. We are guides, not masters. The chamber fell quiet. Not all agreed, but none could challenge Ryan's conviction. Humanity had not crossed the dark void to wear crowns. They had come to break chains. Far away in the core worlds of the council, fear spread like poison. In the great cities of marble and glass, citizens asked questions their rulers did not want to hear. Why did you lie about humanity? Why do they fight for freedom while you take our taxes? Why should we obey you if you cannot protect us? The council responded with harsh crackdowns. Soldiers patrolled the streets, silencing voices of dissent. Propaganda filled the skies, declaring humanity a threat, a storm that would burn the galaxy. But the more they shouted, the less people believed. In secret, the council prepared a weapon. Deep in the hidden core of a dying star, engineers and scientists worked endlessly. They built something massive, something ancient, something forbidden. It was called the Eternal Sphere, a planet-sized machine designed to erase stars themselves. This is our answer, said Chancellor Volus as he inspected the work. His crystalline body glowed with pride. If humanity will not kneel, we will burn the sky above them. The Eternal Sphere was not only a weapon, it was a symbol. The council believed that if they could wield such destruction, the galaxy would fear them again. But in their hearts they knew it was also desperation. Back in the outer systems, humanity's presence continued to inspire. On the desert world of Heron, rebels raised the old flag of Earth beside their own banners. On icy colonies, children painted the human handprint symbol on walls. In hidden forests, songs were sung about the return of the Star Walkers. Everywhere the seeds of rebellion grew. But Admiral Rian was not blind. He knew seeds could be crushed before they became trees. He knew the council would strike with something greater than fleets. Late one night, he stood alone on the observation deck of Sol's Wrath. The stars stretched endlessly before him, silent and cold. Commander Alara joined him quietly. You are worried, she said. Yes, Rian replied. The council is afraid, and fear makes rulers dangerous. They will not surrender. They will destroy everything before they let go. Alara frowned. Then what do we do? Ryan's voice was steady, but there was a weight in it. We prepare. Because when their weapon comes, it will not only test us, it will test the galaxy. We will see who truly stands for freedom. And so, across the stars, two paths moved toward collision. On one side, humanity and the rising rebellions, fighting with courage, hope, and the promise of choice. On the other, the council, desperate to cling to power, building a weapon capable of destroying suns. The galaxy waited, silent and watching, caught between the spark of freedom and the shadow of annihilation. And in that silence, one truth grew clear. The seeds of rebellion had been planted, and no power, no matter how ancient, could stop them from growing. The galaxy trembled. No one had ever seen destruction like the power of the Eternal Sphere. Deep within the hidden core of a dying star, the council had awakened their ultimate weapon. The massive construct, planet-sized and humming with unimaginable energy, was designed to erase entire star systems. Its activation could turn thriving worlds into lifeless voids in moments. When the first star systems vanished, panic spread faster than light. Entire fleets of the Council's enemies froze. Citizens across countless planets looked up at the skies only to see stars blink out and disappear forever. This is the end, whispered some. All hope is lost. But hope was not gone. On the Sol's Wrath, Admiral Ryan Corr stood before his officers, watching energy readings spike as stars died. The glow of distant systems vanished from their sensors. Commander Alara stepped forward, worry in her voice. They've begun. The sphere is erasing entire sectors. If it continues, billions of lives will be lost. Can we stop it? Ryan's eyes did not leave the starfield. We must. The Council believes they can destroy the galaxy and keep it under fear, but the galaxy is not theirs. It never was. Humanity exists not to conquer, but to protect. We will fight. Around them the fleet mobilized, ships deployed in precise formations, engines glowing like coiled lightning. The Ark Protocol, humanity's greatest secret, was ready. The Ark Protocol was more than a weapon, it was a promise. Built from ancient human knowledge, it could stabilize dying suns, repair collapsing systems, and even restore worlds lost to cosmic disaster. Its activation required precision, sacrifice, and a deep understanding of cosmic energy that no other species could manage. On the bridge of Sol's Wrath, Ryan activated the main console. Holographic star maps displayed the paths of dying systems, each marked with a countdown of collapse. We cannot save them all, Ryan said, but we can give the galaxy a chance. Ilara nodded. Then let us begin. The first confrontation came at the edge of the Jorath sector, a region of blue giants and small icy worlds. The eternal sphere had begun absorbing the stars, their light bending and twisting as they disappeared. Human ships advanced with calculated precision. Energy beams flowed through space like silver rivers weaving between Council defenses. The Ark Protocol fired its first wave, a controlled pulse of energy that entered the dying star systems. Stars flickered, their cores reignited, and planets once marked for death glowed with renewed life. On the Council's command bridge, panic erupted. "Impossible," shouted Volus. "How do they reverse what we have built?" The sphere hummed in response, a deep resonating sound that shook the Council fleets. Its immense gravity fields pulled at everything nearby, attempting to erase the humans as well. But humanity's ships adapted, shield harmonics shifted, engines bent space, and the fleet moved like one living organism. Across the galaxy, rebels watched and cheered. For the first time, they could see the truth of human power, not in destruction but in creation. On the planet of Heron, children painted murals of the human handprint, symbols of hope, while adults prepared supplies for evacuation and rescue. On distant mining moons, workers rebuilt stations that had been abandoned for decades, now empowered by human technology. Everywhere the influence of humanity spread, but it was not forced. It was given freely to those who wanted it. The battle escalated as the sphere advanced toward the core systems, the heart of the galaxy. Human fleets engaged Council forces in massive skirmishes, dodging energy storms and collapsing stars. Each strike was precise, designed not to destroy but to protect. Admiral Ryan coordinated attacks while personally directing Ark Protocol pulses. "Hold formation," he commanded. "Every ship, every pulse, every action matters. Protect the systems and the lives within them." Commander Ilara, coordinating several strike teams, marveled at the precision of the humans' technology. "We are doing what no other fleet could even imagine," she said. Rian responded quietly. "It is what humans have always done. We create where others destroy. We build when others fear." The eternal sphere, sensing resistance, unleashed its full power. Entire fleets were drawn into its energy fields, ripped apart before they could escape. Council admirals screamed orders, but none were obeyed. The sphere's pull was absolute. On the human side, ships faced impossible choices. Pilots navigated collapsing space, dodging gravitational spikes, while Ark Protocol engineers channeled massive energy bursts into the dying stars. Some ships had to be sacrificed to complete the process. Rian's voice echoed through the fleet. "We do not fight to destroy but to protect. Those who fall will be remembered. Those who survive will carry the galaxy forward." At the center of the battle, the Sol's Wrath approached the sphere. Its shields held against the crushing gravity, and Ryan prepared the final sequence. "Every pulse must connect," he said. "The sphere cannot be destroyed conventionally. We stabilize its energy, redirect its power, and neutralize its threat. It is risky, but there is no other way." Ilara adjusted the coordinates. "It's now or never." With a hum, the Ark Protocol activated fully. Streams of energy connected with the sphere, flowing into its core, recalibrating its systems. For a moment, time seemed to stop. Energy surged across space, brilliant and blinding, while distant stars trembled and flickered. Then a wave of calm. The sphere, once a weapon of annihilation, fell silent. Its energy stabilized, its gravitational pulses softened. Council fleets drifted powerless. Systems that had been erased returned, glowing once more with life. Entire worlds that had faced destruction were restored. Admiral Ryan breathed a quiet sigh. The galaxy is safe. For now. Alara placed a hand on his shoulder. You did it. Humanity did it. We saved billions of lives today. Ryan shook his head. No, we did not save them. They saved themselves. Humanity only gave them the chance. Across the galaxy, the people celebrated. On the freed planets, citizens danced, sang, and rebuilt. Rebel groups grew stronger, inspired by humanity's courage and wisdom. For the first time in millennia, the galaxy felt free. Even the Council, defeated and humiliated, had to acknowledge the truth. Their weapon, their ultimate power, had been undone. Not by domination or fear, but by creation, by hope, and by the unmatched resolve of a species they had claimed extinct. Yet victory did not mean the end. Humanity knew the Council still existed, still plotted, and still hungered for control. And while billions rejoiced, Ryan and his commanders understood that the true battle, the struggle for freedom and choice, was only beginning. They moved toward the galactic core, their fleet shining like a river of light. Behind them, the ARC protocol remained active, ready to respond wherever it was needed. And in that movement, the galaxy began to whisper a new truth. Humans do not conquer. Humans protect, humans inspire, and the age of true guardians has returned. The Council could fight, they could hide, they could plan. But the galaxy had seen what humanity was capable of. And it would never forget again. The galaxy held its breath. After the destruction of the Eternal Sphere, hope had returned, but the war was not over. The Council of Eternal Stars still existed. Its leaders, humiliated and desperate, gathered their remaining forces deep in the hidden reaches of the galactic core. Entire fleets lay in shadow, preparing for one final strike. Admiral Ryan Corr knew this battle would decide the future, not just for humanity, but for every species that had lived under the Council's rule. Prepare the fleet, he said to Commander Alara. This is the moment. We cannot fail. Alara nodded, her expression serious. The galaxy is counting on us. Every system we've saved, every life we've protected, they believe in us now. We cannot let them down. Ryan's eyes swept across the bridge of the Soul's Wrath, the largest vessel in the human fleet. Lights flickered along the hull. Sensors scanned the stars, and the quiet hum of engines filled the room. Humanity had returned not just to fight, but to lead in a way the galaxy had never known. The final confrontation began near the Shattered Nebula, a region of gas clouds, asteroid fields, and dying stars. The Council's remaining fleets advanced, a wave of ships bristling with weapons and dark energy fields. Their plan was simple: overwhelm humanity with numbers and terror, but humanity was ready. The fleet moved like a single organism. Thousands of ships coordinated perfectly. ARC protocol nodes pulsed along the formation, strengthening shields, stabilizing nearby systems, and protecting civilians on bordering planets. Engage the enemy, Ryan commanded. But remember, our fight is not to destroy them completely. Our fight is to end the lie they have lived by. The battle raged across light years. Beams of energy cut through space. Explosions lit up asteroid fields, and shockwaves shook distant planets. Council ships, trained for centuries in combat, were powerful, but they faced something they had never known: creativity, adaptability, and unity beyond imagination. The human fleet did not rely on brute force alone. Their tactics were clever, often turning Council weapons against them. Ships bent light to confuse targeting systems. Energy pulses from ARC protocol nodes healed damaged allies mid-battle. Entire squadrons of fighters darted through enemy formations, cutting supply lines while civilians escaped to safety. Commander Alara watched the screens, awed by the precision of her fleet. Every move. It's like they are thinking 10 steps ahead, she whispered. Ryan's voice was calm. They are. Humanity has always been like this. We do not just fight. We adapt, we learn, and we protect. In the heart of the battle, the Council flagship, Obsidian Throne, loomed large. Its surface was black as a void, energy fields shimmering like storms trapped in glass. The Council's leaders broadcast a message across space trying to intimidate the humans. Humans, you cannot stop us. Submit or watch the galaxy burn. Ryan activated the fleet's comms. His voice echoed across the void, steady and unwavering. "We do not submit. We fight not to conquer, but to free. You ruled through lies, fear, and destruction. Today that ends. Your empire is over." The words carried far and wide. Across the galaxy, rebels and freed colonies felt courage swell in their hearts. The battle reached its peak. Council forces launched everything they had. Energy storms, gravitational traps, and waves of ships meant to crush the human fleet. Several human vessels were destroyed, but every loss served a purpose. Sacrifices were made to protect civilians and stabilize systems. Rian directed the fleet with calm authority, coordinating attacks while ensuring ARC protocol pulses reached endangered stars. "Hold your positions. Protect the systems. Do not let fear decide your actions." Commander Alara moved through the bridge, relaying orders with precision. Fighters darted between colossal warships, energy beams twisting around asteroids, while massive carriers deployed rescue pods to nearby planets. The galaxy watched in awe. This was not just a battle. It was a demonstration of humanity's power, courage, and heart. The final maneuver began when Ryan activated the central pulse, a focused energy wave from the ARC protocol nodes across the fleet. The pulse was designed to neutralize the Council's energy fields, disabling their flagship and its defenses. Alara's voice was tense. "Admiral, it's risky. The pulse could backfire and damage nearby systems." Rian nodded. "We cannot wait. This is the only chance to end the Council's reign. Trust the protocol. Trust humanity." The pulse surged forward, flowing through the fleet like a river of light. The Council flagship shuddered, energy shields flickering and collapsing. Explosions ripped through its hull as the human fleet closed in, striking with precision at weak points exposed by the pulse. Inside the obsidian throne, chaos reigned. Council leaders shouted orders that could not be obeyed. Their powerful ships were disabled, their fleets retreating, and their ultimate weapon destroyed. They had fought for millennia, but against the return of humanity they were powerless. Rian watched as the last Council vessels were surrounded. Instead of annihilating them completely, he ordered a controlled surrender. "We are not executioners," he said. "We fight for freedom, not for revenge. Surrender now and your people will live." The Council had no choice. Their empire, built on fear and lies, had collapsed. Across the galaxy, citizens celebrated. Worlds once oppressed danced in the streets. Families reunited. Children painted symbols of the human handprint on buildings and ships. Rebel groups, once small and secretive, now commanded entire planets. On one liberated world, Lyra, the young scholar, looked up at the stars. "They came back for us," she whispered. "Not to rule, not to conquer, but to give us a choice." Caro, the miner from Relora, smiled. "They reminded us what it means to be free. We will never forget." Even as victory was celebrated, humanity did not claim the galaxy as their own. Admiral Ryan addressed the galaxy in a broadcast that would echo for generations. "We are not here to rule. We are not here to take crowns or thrones. We are here to remind the galaxy what freedom means. The Council lied for millennia, but the truth always returns. Build your worlds, govern your people, and protect your lives. Humanity is here not to conquer, but to guide when guidance is needed." The message resonated across billions of lives. For the first time in 50,000 years, the galaxy was free. Not under fear, not under tyranny, but under the promise of choice and courage. In the quiet that followed, Ryan and his fleet moved through space. Systems were stabilized, ARC protocol pulses repaired dying stars, and entire regions of the galaxy were restored. The galaxy had survived destruction, oppression, and fear, and it had done so because humanity returned. Commander Alara stood beside Ryan on the observation deck of Sol's Wrath. "We did it," she said softly. Rian shook his head. "We did not do it alone. The galaxy did it. Humanity gave them the chance. That is all a true guardian does." They looked out at the stars, the same stars humans had once walked among thousands of years before. Now the galaxy was awake again. Now, humanity had reminded the universe of what it meant to fight for life, hope, and freedom. The Council was gone, scattered, powerless. Lies were exposed. Myths had become truth. Humanity had returned and shattered centuries of deception. The galaxy remembered again that humans were not just survivors, they were builders, protectors, and the true masters of courage. And so, in the year 50,000, the age of silence ended. The stars shone brighter, freedom spread across planets, and the legend of humanity became a living reality. The galaxy would never forget the return of its true guardians. Admiral Ryan looked toward the horizon of space, a calm smile on his face. "We have returned," he said, "and the galaxy will never be the same again." The stars seemed to answer, twinkling as if in agreement. The era of humanity had truly begun. The Galactic Empire was ancient, older than many suns in the galaxy. Its borders stretched across thousands of star systems, binding together hundreds of species under one banner. For centuries, no one had dared to challenge its strength. Its fleets were vast, disciplined, and feared. Entire civilizations had surrendered at the sight of Imperial warships. At the outer edge of the Empire, far from the bright core, a patrol fleet detected something strange. It was not the usual smuggler or wandering colony ship. No, this was a group of vessels moving together with speed and purpose. Their shapes were odd. Hard angles, metal plates bolted like armor, and strange glowing drives that pulsed with raw energy. The fleet commander, Admiral Thalros, studied the display with narrowed eyes. "What species build such crude machines?" he muttered. The ships were ugly compared to the smooth curves of Imperial design. To him, they looked like floating wrecks patched together in desperation. A junior officer approached. "Admiral, scans confirm they are not from any known Empire species. No records in the database match these hulls," Thalros straightened. Unknown ships in Imperial space were always a matter for caution. But the Empire's way was clear. Outsiders must be reminded of who ruled the stars. "Open a channel," the Admiral commanded. A deep voice echoed across the bridge, translated into every language of the fleet. "Attention, unknown vessels. You have trespassed into the sovereign territory of the Galactic Empire. Shut down your engines, prepare for boarding, and surrender immediately. Any resistance will be crushed. This is your one and only warning." The message was sent and the fleet waited. The Imperial crews expected fear. Normally, aliens would beg for mercy, plead ignorance, or send apologies. It was always the same, but this time the response was laughter. It came through the comms like a wave, clear human laughter. It was not nervous or mocking, but warm and amused, as if the humans had just heard a joke. The sound echoed across the Imperial ships, confusing everyone. Officers stared at one another. Technicians checked their systems, thinking it was a malfunction. "Are they laughing at us?" The junior officer whispered. Admiral Thalros frowned deeply. He had faced enemies who cursed, enemies who screamed, enemies who cried. But never once had he heard an enemy laugh. To him it was unthinkable. Laughter in the face of Imperial might? It was an insult of the highest kind. "Transmit again," he ordered coldly. "Tell them the Empire does not tolerate disrespect." The second message was harsher. It spoke of consequences, of the destruction that would fall upon them if they resisted. But again, the answer was the same. The alien ship sent back another burst of laughter. Different voices this time, male and female, some deep, some light, but all filled with amusement. The bridge fell silent. The crew looked to their admiral for direction, uneasy and unsettled. For the first time in many years, Thalros felt something he had almost forgotten: doubt. Inside the human fleet aboard the lead human vessel, the Resolute, Captain Aaron Blake leaned back in his chair, shaking his head in disbelief. The crew around him chuckled, their laughter genuine. "They actually called themselves the Galactic Empire," Blake said, still smiling. "It sounds like something out of an old movie." Lieutenant Singh laughed harder. "And they told us to surrender." Just like that, as if we'd bow down because they said so. The crew exchanged grins. They had traveled far beyond the settled colonies of Earth, seeking new frontiers. They expected to find empty systems, maybe small civilizations. What they did not expect was to stumble into the path of a self-proclaimed empire that thought itself supreme. For humanity, the message was absurd. On Earth, nations had threatened each other for centuries. Wars had been fought, peace made, then broken again. Compared to that history, the Empire's threat seemed like an echo of the past, loud but not frightening. "They don't understand," Blake said. "They think fear will work on us, but we've lived with fear all our lives. We faced wars, disasters, and struggles just to survive on our own planet. Fear doesn't break us, it makes us laugh." The crew nodded, their amusement masking the quiet readiness beneath. They were not mocking for cruelty. They were laughing because the situation seemed unreal. an empire that believed it could command strangers at first meeting. The Empire reacts. Back on the Imperial flagship, Admiral Thalros paced the deck. His staff waited nervously. The laughter had shaken them more than a barrage of weapons ever could. "What species behaves like this?" one officer asked. "Do they not understand the danger?" "Perhaps they are insane," another suggested. Thalros turned sharply. "No, this is not madness. This is arrogance. They believe themselves beyond fear." His voice was heavy with anger. "We will teach them respect." Orders were sent. The Imperial fleet moved into attack formation, weapons charging. The Empire had crushed countless foes. To them, this would be no different. But beneath their discipline, unease lingered. Laughter echoed in their minds, unsettling and strange. Shadows of history for the humans, the laughter carried more than amusement. It was history. It was memory. Humanity had always faced those who claimed absolute power. Empires had risen on Earth too, some vast, some cruel. All believed themselves eternal. Yet none had lasted forever. Humanity had learned that power alone was never enough. Courage, wit, and resilience could outlast even the greatest empires. That knowledge lived in their hearts, carried across the stars. And so they laughed, not because they were foolish, but because they recognized the pattern. Another empire, another demand for submission, another belief in invincibility. To them it was almost funny. History repeating itself, but on a galactic stage. A clash, waiting to happen. The standoff at the edge of space grew tense. On one side, the Galactic Empire with its polished ships, ancient pride and certainty of victory. On the other, humanity's fleet, rough-built, battle-tested, and laughing in the face of threats. Neither side yet knew the other's true strength. The Empire believed its fleets unstoppable. Humanity believed no empire could intimidate them. For now, the stars were silent but charged with energy. Soon, words would give way to action. Soon, laughter and anger would clash. And in that moment of waiting, the galaxy itself seemed to hold its breath as if curious to see which way history would turn.